Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Crusade with me. I'm so glad you've chosen to spend the next hour with us. Buckle in, because today we're going to talk about something that might feel lost in today's climate. Common ground. Not common sense, not common goals, not even common politics or beliefs. I mean the art of seeing what we share in common as human beings. The stuff underneath the noise. This episode is about evolution. Not biological, but personal. Social, physiological, and I dare say spiritual. Because let's be honest, we're losing this art. Not because people don't want to grow, but because we're trapped in a culture that thrives on division, labels, identity fights, and us versus them mentalities. So let's have a real, maybe uncomfortable, honest, and maybe even a little bit hopeful conversation about what's really going on and what we can do about it. Hello, my queen.
Hello, my love.
How are you?
I'm good.
I know you are.
I'm fresh.
Much better today.
Much better today.
Without any specificity.
No.
I know.
Thank you for not sharing.
I'm getting better.
Thank you.
Getting better.
Yes.
I know.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little bit rough.
Good day yesterday.
Oh, great day. We're recording this on July 5th. The episode we're recording right now won't drop till July 6th. And as we've stated before, we always record 3 episodes, and then schedule them to drop. And so, yeah, this is July 5th. We had a limited family 4th of July yesterday. We missed half of the family.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about one of the main reason why
on the
next
episode. We'll go into some of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, today you're the cause of this episode today.
Yes.
Right? Common ground, because look, we had a breakfast the other day, cleaned the lens, and you were talking about, I'm scrolling too much. I am. Mm-hmm. And so forth and so on. Now, and I thought, yep, you're right. And we got to limit our time, because I've been scrolling, trying to get stuff, because I scroll a lot, but I don't remember the stuff that I scroll through. And obviously you do. And you had come across.
Well, it was that very first thing this morning.
Okay, and you follow like celebrity. I don't follow.
No, I don't follow. I don't follow a lot of celebrities.
Well, you follow some. I follow none.
I call them my boy, because I'm a huge Jason Kelce fan.
I know.
I started with New Heights. I'm not a huge Travis Kelce fan, but I love their relationship together.
The boys' relationship together. Yeah.
Because, one, I'm a huge football fan.
Right.
Always have been.
Correct.
I was raised with 3 brothers, so
right.
Football was always on in our house. In fact, you started the countdown yesterday.
Correct.
To college football season. So that is one of our favorite times of year.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
We're not big pro football fans, but
we'll watch it.
But we watch it, and so Jason Kelce is one of my favorites. I think he's a lovely human being. I love that he's a girl dad, 4 to 4. And I think that it's utter chaos. And the thing I like about Jason Kelce is he is just a regular guy. There's no frills, thrills, pretense to him. it's like me, love me, hate me, leave me. And
True.
so, do you want me to go into
Yeah.
what struck me
Yeah.
and really upset me?
Sure.
Because then there's I'm an American girl. I love the USA.
And
I
4th of
love-
July, and we had a great
Right.
celebration yesterday.
And I love America no matter who's leading America.
Correct.
When our son is served, my grandfather served, my father served, my great uncle served. So I come from a family of military. So anyway, Jason, I guess, had posted yesterday or last night some fireworks and just said, I'm not going to read it verbatim because one, I don't have my phone, but I guess I should have grabbed that. So he posted some fireworks and just said, 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, and
Ours too. Yeah.
happy 4th of July to everyone. Let today be a day where we come together and put politics aside and just celebrate America.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Yeah.
Should be something we can all agree on.
Right.
But au contraire, no. I read the comment section, and I will tell you, my heart is broken. They tore that man up. People saying, how dare you? How can you say that? America is broken, with obviously making reference to the bill that passed, the big, beautiful bill, whatever they're calling it.
Whatever that is.
And so for a man that was trying to not be political and just celebrate America, it became very political in the comment section. And they were people that are his fans saying, we love you, but you're tone deaf.
Right.
America is broken. How can you post this? So I hope all those people that made comments in his section sat in their house and did not eat a hot dog and did not have the barbecue going and didn't go to a fireworks show and
I hope they worked.
And did not
I hope they
celebrate.
worked.
Yeah. I hope they did not celebrate America.
Birthday.
And their words matched their actions.
Right. And I highly doubt it. However,
I highly doubt it. But
I know.
just
And
how
I'm making judgments there, but
So how does a holiday like the 4th of July, celebrating the land of the free and the home of the brave, turn into a political statement?
And we're coming from a place that neither one of us are aloof to the downsides of this country and or its history, right?
Absolutely.
We're
history
I'm
buffs.
part Native American, so I'm very conscious of the costs.
Absolutely.
So but regardless, could we, it's still the best place on earth to live, right?
Right.
Everybody's trying to get here and everybody's trying to duplicate here.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a little bit sad and that's really what I thought, okay, that sounds like a great episode. And see, that's the difference between you doom scrolling and me doom scrolling. I never read the comment sections. I guess I probably should. Mm-hmm. But you always do. See, you're the one.
I'm not doom scrolling.
Well,
I thought it was
I
a
do.
lovely post.
Well, I'm just talking about, in general, we set time aside, we are limiting my time, but we set time aside for that function, for that activity.
It's usually during coffee time.
And,
mornings.
well, you do your brain games or whatever that is.
Oh, Wordle.
Wordle, yeah. And then there's a group of you that do that.
The sisters.
Your sisters.
The sister-in-laws, but we're sisters.
Yeah. And then you do the scrolling thing. And and you read all the comments. I never do. I guess I just read whatever's on the thing and then I move on.
I'm an Instagram person. I do very little Facebook. I am Instagram is my channel.
So this was Instagram, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I find the comment sections on Facebook to be way worse than Instagram. I find Instagram to be a little bit more personable.
Right. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. So it made me think, I know this. We are not all alike, right?
Right.
And really, that's the point.
Right.
That is the point. You've heard it before. We're more alike than different, and it's true, but there's the kicker. We're also beautifully, wildly different, and that is a gift. It's a gift to be different. Can we sit with that tension? Can we hold both truths in our hands? Because here's where we get tripped up, I think. We think unity means uniformity. That to get along, we have to think the same way, vote the same way, live the same lifestyle. And that's a lie. That's just not true. You know what I'm saying? So life would be boring if we were all just carbon copies of each other. Imagine a world where everyone you met thought exactly the same way you did. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy?
Well, there's times we wish we could get people to see things the way we see
Well,
things.
yes,
I mean,
but you know
but
what?
yes.
You know, I mean that. So what if everybody had the same fears, the same hobbies, same taste in food, same opinion about every issue? Would that be paradise?
It could be very annoying.
I think it would be a padded room. Okay, seriously, I think.
My girlfriend is a clean freak, and her husband is also a clean freak. And I said to her years ago, that must be so wonderful. And she said, it really is not. Two clean freaks does not make a happy home. I'd like to give it a try.
We're the odd couple.
Yeah.
We're the odd couple.
As you wadded up that extension cord and left it on the screened-in porch last night for all of us to trip over. I'm like,
It was out of the walking path. I'm aware of authorized.
But if
I'm aware of authorized walking paths.
But I also know this, and I told it to myself. That will lay there until I pick it up and move it. It will stay there.
No, it won't, because I got to put it back in the garage.
It won't now because I've mentioned it.
But here's the bigger picture in life that I would like, and I think we kind of emulate this in our home, and I would like people to just maybe think about this for a minute. Difference doesn't mean division. Can we get there? Can difference not mean division?
Right.
It can mean variety, growth, strength, beauty, perspective. But we've stopped celebrating that. We started sorting people. We're not sorting cattle here. We're sorting people. And that's where the problem begins, as far as I'm concerned. The poison of labels. So let's talk about labels. And I'll just say I hate them. I hate labels. You know, what conservative, liberal, woke, red-pilled, Christian, atheist, patriot, ally, cis, straight, trans, white, black, blue collar, educated, rural, urban, millennial, boomer. Who comes up with this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Really, who comes up with this stuff? But sadly, we cling to them like they're lifeboats. Here's what happens with labels. They shrink people. They reduce us to one-dimensional caricatures of who we actually are. And once somebody is labeled, oftentimes we stop listening. They're either on our side or the enemy.
Right.
So labels become armor or excuses. They become reasons not to engage. And they become how we justify the scorched earth attitude. And so many have adopted that towards each other. And you've seen it. You read it today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We love you, but you're an idiot, or you're
Yeah.
tone deaf, or whatever they were saying. Yeah. So we've seen it, and I've probably done that in my life. I know I have, actually. Someone says something that doesn't line up with your label, and suddenly they're the worst kind of human. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They're just one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, in my mind, that kind of thinking is lazy. It's dangerous. And it's keeping us stuck. If someone disagrees with you and your first move is to slap a label on them and dismiss their humanity, you're part of the problem. Sorry. Hard truth. Does that make it?
Yes.
Am I out in left field here on this?
Well, no. I mean, you're identifying the problem, so what's going to be the solution here? I mean, we are friends and related to people from all walks of life, right? And we have found ways to get along with everyone and not argue.
Yes.
And I think that I wrote this down as my one of my final thoughts is we talked about this earlier this week also. Why do people feel communication means you're gonna fight?
Yeah, I don't know. Even when you don't see eye to eye, that's even more important to communicate.
Right.
And it always devolves into an argument. Or
right.
A fight. You're right. You're right. I don't know. I just know that, you know what? Thinking the way and I've not always thought this way. I want to be real clear. I'm not saying I've got all this figured out. I don't. I'm just having a conversation.
Right.
Right?
You're having a conversation without fighting. How does that happen?
Rare. I don't know. But here's a question I keep bumping into. And this conversation in social media and even just sitting in quiet moments. How do I keep growing? Seriously, how do I keep growing when everyone around me refuses to?
That is $1 million question.
Yeah.
But we've changed. We've evolved.
Yes.
So sometimes you can go back and revisit some of your old thoughts.
Yes. We have to.
And you see that you've changed your ideas on things. The problem is when people hold you to your old thoughts and you have evolved.
Well, as my boss, I quoted a statement a couple of episodes ago. I love this statement.
I have the right.
I reserve the right to change my mind. Right? And that's brilliant. And that is so freaking true.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are growing, you're probably going to change your mind.
Right.
So, yeah, but you want to be better. You want to evolve. You want to challenge your own thinking, grow past your own wounds, become someone you're proud of. But you look around and it feels like people are committed to being stuck.
Well, let's face it, there are some people who like the fight.
Yes. And that's why Thursday we're dropping an episode about boundaries. Okay. So families stuck in fear. Friends stuck in ego. Entire groups stuck in resentment or superiority or nostalgia.
I love
the
nostalgia.
good old days, right?
I love nostalgia.
Well,
I mean,
They're not
the
always as
good
good as we
kind.
thought. Yeah, they're
The
not
good
always
kind.
as good as we
No,
recollect.
right. You're right. You're exactly right.
And it's frustrating. It's even heartbreaking.
Uh-huh.
But here's what I've learned. People who don't grow become your mirror. They show you what you'll become if you stop moving forward. They are not your enemy. They're your warning. And it can be lonely. But it's worth it. Because your growth isn't for applause or likes or validation. Your growth is the quiet, daily revolution that actually changes your world. The problem is the extremes, really, right? I mean, Scripture tells us, right? Things in moderation. All things are good. Not all things are profitable, I think is the NIV. So extremes are never good.
Mm-mm.
So then extremes, and there's extremes on both sides
Mhm.
of everything
Mhm.
nowadays. So let's get honest. The stuck are on both sides. Left, right, religious, secular, doesn't matter. You got one side screaming about liberty and tradition and protecting values, but refuses to look at where they've turned those values into weapons. Then you've got another side screaming about progress and equality, but turns on anyone who doesn't say the exact thing in the exact right way. Everyone's shouting. No one's listening. Right. Everyone's right. And everyone's miserable. It's not the ideas that are broken. It's the attitude, the rigidity, the lack of humility. You can have values. You can have ideals. But if you can't admit when something's gone too far, or when your side has messed up, then you stop being honest. And when honesty leaves the room, growth and evolution ends. So I'm calling on both sides. You're not winning.
Mm-mm.
You're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are trying to grow see it. We feel it. And we're not going to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So what does real growth look like in this environment? Here's good news. You don't need a movement to grow. I don't have to belong to some social justice program.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have political T-shirts that offend whatever. You don't need a platform. You don't need a label or a hashtag. You just need willingness. Real growth is silent most days. It's choosing not to argue when you could, and even when you could win, but choosing not to. It's reading something you disagree with. Just to understand it.
Mm.
It's asking questions saying, was I wrong? It's forgiving someone who doesn't deserve it. Not for their sake, but for yours. It's not needing to be better than someone else. Just better than I was yesterday. And it's showing up again and again when no one notices. You want to change the world? Start by growing. You want to make the world kinder? Be kind to people you don't agree with. You want to leave a mark? And I hate this phrase, but it's appropriate in my mind. Build bridges. Not just between others, but inside yourself too. So, you know me. I got a challenge for the week. All right. So here's my challenge to you. Something simple but strong. This week, find someone who sees the world differently and listen to them. Not to argue, not to convert, just to listen. Ask them a real question and then shut up. Let them answer. You don't have to agree. You don't have to change your mind. But if you can hold space for someone who's different without shutting down or blowing up, you've just done something revolutionary in today's world. Because that is gone. Also, pay attention to labels. When you catch yourself reducing someone to a stereotype, pause and ask, what would I see if I looked a little bit deeper? My queen, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yes, I do. Well, just a first one on your look closely at labels. It popped into my mind when Andrew, our son Andrew, was in a band, and it was so not our style whatsoever.
Now, he was what, all of 15 or 16 at the time?
Yeah, he could drive, so
16 or 17.
yeah, he was probably 16. And it was a screaming band. Ugh.
Yeah, screaming music.
Screaming music.
I don't know what you call that. It was he thought he was so cool because remember he had a white leather belt. He held that thing with freaking honor.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that meant or represented.
The two other boys, well, the lead singer, the lead screamer.
Yeah, none of them were singers.
No, so they screamed. But anyways, this young man, he was emo was the look, the dress, the look.
Emo. Oh yeah.
Emo.
Yeah.
And so they were,
because we're talking the 90s here, right? Or is it early 2000s?
Early 2000s. It was probably, the early 2000s.
Okay. And yeah.
So, like, probably 2005, because they graduated in 2007. So, anyways, not important stuff.
Sorry.
So, they show up for their first couple of band practices, and they walk through the door, and I'd never seen the looks of anything like it before, with their skinny jeans and their slip-on board shoes or whatever they call them, and the hair that was just kind of long and off to the side or whatever. But I learned a very valuable lesson.
Yes, I recall this.
Do not judge a book by its cover.
Correct.
Because that kid, who shall remain nameless, who now I think is a pastor, actually.
Okay, yeah.
I loved that kid. I absolutely adored that kid.
Well, he was he was kind of deep.
He was so intelligent and smart and kind and chivalrous. But had I not taken the time to get to know him and judged him completely on his outward appearance, I would have lost out.
You're right.
So that's
Let me
a very valuable
let me
lesson.
relate a story. Same vein, same thing exactly. Now this goes back to my integrated steel making days, and I was actually in the tin division at that time, and we had just been bought out. Remember when I switched companies,
Yep.
but kept going to the same place every day to work?
Yep.
And there was this big push that everything that happened that was not by design or intention was considered an incident that we had to investigate. And part of that investigation was we were going to be sending the employees involved for drug screenings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I remember we had a motor inspector, and he was probably my age now, okay? I thought, to go back several years. And I thought he was old then, right? I mean, he had gray hair, and he was mild-mannered. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm sorry, but I got to send you for a drug screen. Yeah, I know. Okay, no big deal. All right, so I send him, and he pops for illicit drugs. I'm a little bit shocked at that time. And I'm like, wow. And then I had another incident where and this was probably months apart, not long, but just months, more than a month, but a couple months. Then I had this guy, he was a mechanic, and he, can't remember what he did. We had something go sideways on us, and he ended up, with property damage, and I had to send him. And I never really liked the guy. He was kind of loud-mouthed, bald-headed. Never trust a guy bald head and facial hair, right? So he had bald head and facial hair, younger than I am, younger than I was, loud, and tattoos on his neck and on his bald head.
Mm-hmm. That had to hurt.
And yeah. And I was so excited because I really didn't like the guy. So inwardly, I'm rooting.
Positive.
I want to pop. Yeah, this guy's going to pop, and I'm going to terminate him, right? And he did not.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know him that well, all right? And so now I'm sitting down with him and doing this investigation. When he wasn't showboating, because he was a showboater. You know what I mean by showboating? When he had an audience, he was boisterous and loud. And
right.
Man, he could articulate well. He was intelligent. And I'm sitting close to him, so I'm seeing his tattoos truly for the first time. I mean, he's not wearing a hard hat, for one, right? His tattoos are images of his children, okay, on his head. And really nice sayings around his neck and stuff. Like, I made terrible judgments because of a look.
Yeah.
And you're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And lived it, done it.
Yep.
I know. And why? In our freaking culture, in our society, we are so stuck on labeling everything and everybody. I hate labels.
Right.
Because I was trying to think, what do I consider myself? Now, politically, I'm an independent, right? I mean,
because you don't want to be labeled. Yeah.
I made that choice. I am an independent. I am a registered independent voter in the United States. Because
you don't want the big government to know what your choices
correct.
are.
And my ancestors taught me that the right wing and the left wing are attached to the same bird. So,
you want to be the body.
Well, I think it's silly.
Yeah.
These political fights, because truly,
yeah,
I truly do believe, right, wrong, and different, and people truly can't convince me differently. I mean, I would have to see something. They say stupidity is with mountains of evidence, and people don't change their mind. That's stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be labeled stupid in this respect. If you could provide, which I've looked and looked and looked, and I can't find evidence to contradict my thought, and that is that it's a big old good old boy club network.
Yeah.
All right, it's not. They most of it's theatrics,
Mm-hmm.
deception, for power and money.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And once that curtain got dropped to reveal all that, you can't unsee it now.
Correct. Absolutely.
I don't know when that happened, when the veil dropped and we saw what we saw. I can't remember how that happened.
I've
but-
known that for years. I truly have known that for years because I think, I go back to the Reagan era, right? And right, wrong, or indifferent. And I'm not saying Reagan wasn't. I think Reagan played that game as well, but he played it as well as he could for what he was up against.
Mhm.
You see it, and I felt the same way with Obama, right? I was never a big fan of Obama, but I also knew, even in his first term, I thought, other than the Affordable Care Act, that one big, beautiful bill that he did,
Mhm.
which it was supposed to help everybody, and it doesn't seem to have done much. Here we are talking about the same stuff.
None of these bills do
I know.
anything for the people.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
That's kind of my point. Exactly my point.
Promises made, none of them kept.
Right.
Really.
Right. Well, they're just so superfluous that it's just very surfacey, and we don't even understand. Or the people who write this stuff don't even
I don't
understand
think they
the
understand
underlying
what they pass in
the
a vote.
underlying. That's why in industry and in work, we have something called an MOC. All right. And the MOC is to help answer these questions, and that's management of change, a process, a management of change. Before I change or before I write a law, what are going to be the outcomes? What are going to be the unintended circumstances here?
Right.
We need to answer these questions. Who's going to be involved? Who's going to be affected? What's going to be the result of this, right? That's MOC. That's a new concept to government. They don't know anything
Yeah.
about MOCs.
Yeah, if you see some of these bills, they're like books upon books upon books. These senators and lawmakers are not reading these things
know.
before they pass votes on them.
I
There's not
know.
enough time
No.
because they're evolving as they go.
Well, in the infamous words of the congressional queen lady, Nancy Pelosi, we have to vote on it so that we can read it, find out what's in it. right?
Exactly. That's probably the only
But
truth I've heard her speak.
she was being honest.
She was
She
being
was
honest.
being honest.
We
So,
like that.
yeah. I'm like, okay, she spoke truth. That was
Yep,
truth.
she did. No.
So,
I was going to say, my other thing I was going to say was we need more unifying moments. And I think that's the thing that struck me about Jason
yes,
Kelsey's post was
correct.
he didn't make that political. He was just trying to, and maybe that was not his intention, but why couldn't that just be a unifying moment?
Correct.
We love this land that we live in. So I would say we need to embrace a moment that's unifying. Try to leave politics out of it. Try to leave anything that would cause division and just celebrate a moment
Correct.
that people can just come together. Quit trying to look for something to peck at.
Well, I used to like this series, and I think it's done and over with. I don't know, but I remember the series Yellowstone.
Yes.
Is that still going, or are they done with that?
It's done.
That's what I thought.
It is finished.
Because I only think I watched like the first 3 seasons or whatever it was. I don't know how many it had total. It started
think
getting wonky when it
6.
started, like he was going to be governor and all this. I'm like, okay, now this is going down
Yeah.
the James Bond path.
Yeah.
And I love James Bond movies, but I know what I'm getting. It was what Yellowstone started out as. It evolved, or it became. But there was a episode on there where there was environmental activist. Remember that?
Yes.
And he kind of was smitten with a young girl that was an activist, and she got
Yeah.
imprisoned or something.
Yeah.
And my girl
Because
Beth.
Beth set it
I
up.
love Beth. She could be the tornado in my trailer park anytime. I love that girl Beth. Anyway.
Your point was going to be?
Well, he kind of was smitten with her. And then she got to know him, and he was talking to her about,
Right.
I take better care of the environment because it's
Yeah.
conducive to my business as a rancher.
Right.
And
She learned
she
a lot.
couldn't see that initially, right?
Right.
Because she'd never talked, never asked a question, never had done any of those things. And that's all I really remember. I don't know if they ever end up, I take it they not, because
No.
then he was like he was in bed with the governor at the time with a lady, right?
No, that was early on, but no,
I
because
thought that was all during the
it
same
ended
time frame.
because he went out. Yeah, she was still on the ranch, I think, when he died, or
He died.
close to it. Oh, sorry, probably shouldn't give that away. Yeah, he was murdered. Jamie murdered him.
Really?
Had
John
him,
Dutton?
had him killed. Yes.
I'll be a son of a gun. Maybe I need to pick up that series. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's a twist. Oh, you mean that's the final episode?
That's it. Well, the last like 6 episodes. That's kind of they solve
Really?
how they solve
Well,
how
that's
he
a
was
twist.
killed. Oh yeah, so Beth gets justice on Jamie.
Oh, my girl. Now I got to pick it back up. Because like I said, I stopped about when he started running for governor.
Oh yeah, that's like 2 seasons before the end.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking. I don't know. Anyways,
I'll check it out.
so what's the yeah.
But we're saying the same thing, right? That
Yeah.
she didn't have choice because he was kind of her knight in shining armor, right? Didn't he get her out of jail or something or help her?
Well, she got put on house arrest.
Oh, at the Dutton Ranch.
Yeah.
I want to put you on house arrest.
I enjoy house arrest.
Handcuff you to that. Anyway.
What happened to I'm getting better.
Okay. But that's a question I want everybody to answer. What we're just talking about. What would I see if I look deeper? We've got work to do, but it starts with seeing each other again. Not as liberals or conservatives, not as race or that, not as labels, not even as a problem to be fixed, just as people. People who laugh, cry, hurt, dream, heal. People who are still figuring it out, just like you and I. So here's to the common ground beneath the noise. Let's build on it together. So thanks for crusading with us today. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with someone. Even better, share it with someone who disagrees with you. Until next time, grow strong, stay human, and keep walking forward. And always crusade with me.